Washington, D.C., solid as a rock. After months touting commitment to Israel in glowing terms, U.S. President Joe Biden changed his tune this month and delivered most harshly worded criticism of country since the start war in Gaza. These two words sparked hundreds of headlines. CNN wrote that the difference between Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was finally reflected in public. The Washington Post signaled that the two leaders were heading for a collision. But Palestinian rights activists questioned how big a rift existed or whether Biden's words were merely a way to assuage criticism without taking serious action. Biden has faced intense scrutiny over his support for Israel's military offensive in Gaza, which has killed more than 20,000 Palestinians since October 7, and United States remains one of last countries in world to oppose ending war. However, the president's statement on December 12 did not indicate a change in policy. To the contrary, his administration has reasserted that it will not draw red lines to restrict Israel's actions or its actions with U.S. military assistance. Some advocates therefore argue that the reported disagreements between Biden and Netanyahu are irrelevant as long as the United States continues to support Israel. It doesn't matter whether Biden and Bibi like each other or not, because ultimately American money is still being funneled to finance the Israeli army. Weapons are still being shipped with or without congressional approval, said Laura Albast, a Palestinian American organizer in the Washington, D.C. area. Biden did not come out and call for a ceasefire. Lawyers condemn political theater, Albast said. The Biden administration has occasionally made criticisms of Israel to address growing domestic concerns about atrocities in Gaza. She noted that Biden's popularity in the United States fell during the war, especially among young people. A Monmouth University poll this week showed Biden's approval rating at a record low of 34%. This rate dropped to 23% among voters under the age of 34. They think the average voters in the United States are not critical thinkers, so they put together this theater. Albast said. Hours after Biden made his comments about Israel's indiscriminate ing of Gaza, the United States voted against a United Nations General Assembly resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Washington vetoed a similar measure in the UN Security Council. Still, U.S. officials have repeatedly expressed concern with their Israeli counterparts about harm to civilians in Gaza. It's clear that the conflict will progress needs move into a lower intensity phase. And we expect to see a transition more targeted operations, Secretary of State Antony Blinken told reporters Wednesday. But despite Washington's request, the ing still appears to be intensifying. More than 5,000 Palestinians have been killed since fighting resumed on December 1 after a brie